when I was thinking about the topic, acceptance is a choice, I was thinking the two quotes that just wouldn't let me go were, number one, the only thing that's constant is change. And you can't step in the same river twice. And they just kept flashing in my mind. So I looked them up, and they all came from my new favorite guy, Heraclitus. Now, he's from the 6th century BC. So he's an oldie but goodie, for sure. But talking to Dr. Jim, we decided that he was the first religious scientist. Without question. Now, I'm going to share a little bit about his teachings and philosophies. And I heard he was a little bit crotchety and grouchy because he didn't get it why other people don't get it. Does that sound familiar in any way? Here's what he says. So, number one, he was the first Western philosopher to go beyond physical theory into the metaphysics, to see beyond the physical into the spiritual realm. And he said that there is unity in all experience. He proclaimed the everlasting word, or logos, which is the mind of God, says that all things are one. Are you hearing any similarities yet so far? He goes on to say that opposites are necessary for life. Now, I think this is where the acceptance part kind of fits in, because most of us would really like things to be comfortable and the same and the way we want it and we like it. And, what we don't understand, those are the things that bring us fear and anxiety. And oftentimes those are the things we just don't like, because we don't get it, we don't understand it. But he said opposites are necessary for life, but they are unified in a system of balanced exchanges, a law-like interchange of elements. Well, wouldn't we call that the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of reciprocity? What we put out there, we get back. So isn't he a cool kid? He's my new favorite bud. I really like it. And you'll hear, this morning's kind of interlaced with some of the quotes that he says, because there's an underlying truth that we stand on, all of us right now. A truth that isn't new age, a truth that is based in such ancient wisdom and truth, and it grows through us and as us. So this morning, when I talk about acceptance as a choice, I'm going to talk about acceptance in 4 different areas, because being a really hard thing and being in a world of opposites, we need to recognize that there's different areas that we need to learn to go with the flow. So one of the things that Heraclitus said is, the path up and the path down is the same. And what that means to me, and if you think about it, is we are both an inlet to God and an outlet to God. And if we're going to recalibrate our being, we have to remember to take time to be the inlet and let Spirit fill us up to overflowing. You see, the first place we need acceptance is to accept life as it is. And most of us see life as it is through our physical eyes. Would you agree? You look at the world and you say, well, that's what it's like. And our physical eyes see the manifestation or the conditions that have already been created in conscious mind. They've already been created by a thought. So what we're really looking at is the past. Does that make sense? We're looking at what's already been created, and we're thinking that's right and true. So we're making judgments about what we see here as how can I accept that? But that's already happened. And then we have another problem with our physical eye, is right behind our eye are all of our perceptions and beliefs that really, really cloud what we see. And we see things we don't understand, and we make judgments about them. So the first thing we need to understand is we need to accept what is in a new light. Reverend Jane Beach wrote the Science of Mind daily guides for this month. And those of you that are reading it, she's really an amazing woman. And one of her topics was acceptance is a choice. And she said, I may not like the situation I'm in. Do any of you have those situations right now? Okay, I may not like the situation I'm in. I want to like who I am in the situation. Isn't that where we're striving? Because isn't that what the spiritual journey is all about? The spiritual journey, to me, is about releasing the old conditioning of fear, worry, prejudice, doubt, those things that bring us stress and overtax us, letting go of those things and accepting the love in our heart that we know is true. Because we're made from love. If we really, 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 really believe that the universe is good and we're made out of the image and likeness of love, goodness, light, joy, beauty, all of that stuff, we have to have that seed of divinity, that light within us, the love that's there. So this accepting what is really remembering, who do I want to be in this situation? Do I want to be someone who judges, or do I want to be that outlet of God? Mother Teresa shares a story that there was a time, I think she was visiting Japan, I'm not sure what was going on, but she said she noticed a man across the street who was lost and kind of befuddled, and she knew he was drunk. And actually he fell into the middle of the street. And she said it hurt her immediately, because she said, that's my brother. I know that person there is a child of God, so am I. And she couldn't do anything about it. She couldn't lift him. And she said, people passed by, cars passed by, and nobody did anything. And she said, that man there is someone's father, possibly someone's son, someone's brother. And no one did anything, including me. If we're really going to be the love that we speak of, we have to start right now. We have to start. Now, I can't say in every situation can we do something immediately, but we can know a greater truth for any situation that's going on. We can see something more. We can send love, light. We can physically do something. And it's interesting, when I was thinking about this, gosh, we've got to love what is in the situation and love everybody. It's funny, when we change who we are, I had more people ask me this weekend, well, can I help you with something? I mean, not like in a store, but just walking by. Oh, is that heavy? Would you like me to help you? Well, is there something I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? When we put that out there, the world responds. It's that same law of exchange that we're talking about. The good happens to us. So I'm just inviting us this morning, if we're looking at acceptance as a choice and taking more spiritual responsibility to recalibrate ourselves to a greater good, where is it right now that you could be a better person in any situation you're in? I'm not asking you to try to change a situation. We can't change all situations. We can change our reaction, our feelings about the situation. We can change who we are. So where is it that you'd like to be a greater expression of light, of healing, of love, of goodness in any situation? And the quantum physics things, the observer changes the situation. That's exactly what happened to me. I just noticed all this help and joy and love when I was thinking, how can I be a better person in different situations? And it came to me. So loving or accepting what is, life as it is right now, recognizing again that it's not the truth, is a creation of past ideas and thoughts, and definitely influenced by our perceptions of the way we think and believe, which we can change all the time, but we can change our perceptions and beliefs. But the spiritual journey of awakening for us, it's just some of us are more awake than others. Do you agree with me? And so we have to support everybody right where they are. So the next piece that we're looking at today of acceptance, besides accepting life as it is accepting life as it can be. And if we accept life as it can be, it means that you and I need to realize and recognize and know right now that life is inherently good. Yes? That the universe right now is conspiring for our good. Yes? Good. All right. There is a law of good going on, and we need to understand that. So the Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, we need to look away from the conditions that now exist and accept better ones. And for what that meant for me is we need to see beyond our eye, but we need to see with that place from within. We know there's that spark of divinity in all of us. We know that it's in everyone and everything, everywhere. And if we want to truly see things as they can be, not only do we have to realize the potential in ourselves, that we're so much more than we realize, but we need to see that in other people. And My invitation for us today is to see as God sees. And Heraclitus says, to God, all things are beautiful and good and right. It's man who wants to make things right and wrong. To God, all things are beautiful and right and true and good. So we need to see as God sees. This is nothing new. All the mystics get this. If you and I are going to be a bigger expression in the world, if we're going to live from that calibration of love or light or goodness or whatever it is, we have to have a bigger picture in our mind. We have to see as God sees. This is what Meister Eckhart says. Every object, every creature, every man, woman, and child has a soul. And in it is a destiny of all. To see as God sees, to know as God knows, to feel as God feels, to be as God is. And so when we meet somebody, it's not the first thing we judge through our eye contact. It's our soul-to-soul connection. How we can see a greater good and understanding for all of us. So again, acceptance is a choice and taking spiritual responsibility. Where in your life can you see something more for someone? To see something more. Take a minute right now and just send that out. Where can we see something more? And we'll talk about ourselves in a minute. But just for someone else, see that right now. You may have them in a really limited cage right here. And we want to at least open the door. There's something more for all of us. So, we can accept life as it is. You know, how we want to show up in life. And we can see more if we recognize there is divinity in all of us. The next part of acceptance is about accepting truth, accepting the truth that life is inherently good, that there is a power that we get to use that's bigger than we are. It's something we're a part of, like a wave in the ocean. A wave seems singular, but a wave is part of a greater ocean. Heraclitus also said, in oneness comes the particulars, the individualized expressions, and the individualized expressions are part of the one. So it's all one and the same. You and I need to start accepting the greater good that's present and start accepting that there's more available. In New Design for Living, Ernest Holmes says, what is true acceptance? Now I want you to think about this because this is where spiritual practice comes in. This is where you and I have to spend time every day to nurture that seed of divinity within us. We spend time listening, reading, talking, sharing, sometimes gossiping, and doing things that keep us lower. We need to spend more time than that doing the things that keep us aligned with the magnificence of life, the goodness. And Ernest Holmes says, acceptance is a quiet inward conviction. It's something in here that we know, based on the theory that there is a spiritual perfection at the center of all things and everything, every experience in the universe. And there is a fundamental law of good governing all things. This doesn't mean we have to accept bad behavior. It doesn't mean that any situation we're in, we're going to be there forever. It's just, you know what? Sometimes we get bumps in the night. Sometimes we get dark nights of the soul, right? Or am I the only one? Okay, I'm the only one. Okay, well, let me tell you my experience then. We have these experiences that are like wake-up calls, waking us up, shaking us awake to something more. We just can't build a residence in the dark night. We can't say, oh, I'm staying here, I'm living here, and hang on to it. We need to be willing to see the gift, to learn the lesson, to find the greater truth, and remember, oh, that's right, life is for me, not against me. There's a law of good in everything. We have to be remembering that. We have to practice this. How many of you started this morning with a spiritual practice? Don't raise your hands. But before you even get out of bed is a time to welcome how good it is to be alive, how blessed I am right here, because this is a precious experience. Remember, if everything is changed, we don't know what this day is going to bring. And if we want it to be different, then we need to be different. We need to wake up and know something more right now. And that comes to the last part. So we can accept life as it is and still know there's way more for us. What happened? Oh my God, I love that. Thank you, God. I needed that validation. That there's something lighter and brighter. Oh, yes. Walk toward the light and don't look back. Rumi said that. Rumi said that. I love Rumi. I didn't know where I was going to fit that one in, but I love that one. So, I guess we really need to be awake on this last one. The last one. So where we accept life as it is, as it can be, we accept the truth. But now, here's the hard part. We know that life is good, inherently good. We know that we live in undifferentiated potential. We know that we have the power to heal. We have the power to manifest. We have the power to be joyful. We have the power to love. We know that we're in this, all of this creative expression. We have the power to create. We're part of this power. We know that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. If those are the only 4 little affirmations you say, that should be the affirmation for every day. So we use this power for good. The problem is, there is this power for good and we keep limiting ourselves. Ernest Holmes calls it the cup of acceptance. We're in this sea of undifferentiated potential, of creative possibilities, and we come to it with a little tiny cup because we feel that's all we deserve. And we scoop it out, and that's how much good we get. It doesn't work that way. We need to enlarge our cup of acceptance, and we do that, again, by taking the spiritual responsibility to know that we are divinely made. We are here to be beautiful, to be good, to be right, to be true, to be happy, to be joyous, to be healthy, to be abundant, all of those things. But we have to accept that. We have to enlarge this cup of acceptance. Now, how do we do that? How do we enlarge our cup of acceptance? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story, and it comes from a master who had a group of seekers around him who really wanted to know, how do we become spiritually enlightened? How do we become in alignment with the sacred? How do we do our work? And the master said, well, you know what? Spiritual enlightenment is like filling a sieve with water. And the seekers got all upset and depressed, and they went, you can't fill a sieve with water. You can't do that. Do you mean we're not ever going to be filled with the sacred? Do you mean that's not possible? And the master looked at his disciples, and he felt sad. And he said, come with me. And they went down to the beach, and the master threw a sieve out onto the ocean. And it floated for a while. And then it sunk. And he said, that's how the sieve is filled with water. We have to become immersed in the good that's ever present. We have to become filled with it. Close your eyes for a minute. This is Healing Sunday. So untangle yourselves. We want to heal ourselves of any false thoughts and limitations that have kept us stuck and limited. So I'm just going to invite you right now to just breathe in and feel the vibration of that inherent goodness, the vibration of possibilities that surround us right now, the possibilities that fill us right now. And imagine that you are a sieve filled with the holes, the availability, the openness to something new and more. If we want to draw more good in our life, we have to be more. We have to be willing to be more. So be open. Just imagine yourself, all these openings to acceptance. If you've been hanging on to the shore of what is, keeping there, hanging on to the side, let go. Trust. Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. Trust that this ocean of infinite possibility is ours right here and right now. That if we're recalibrating to a place of spiritual magnificence, of which we're born to be, that we need to let go and allow ourselves to trust and have faith. It is done to us as we believe. It is faith that opens us to this greater good. Faith in something more, beyond the visible to the invisible. Allowing ourselves to be filled, to overflowing with all our dreams, our wishes, the magnificence right now. That we become a vessel of joy, of love, of light, of healing, of truth, of manifestation, of prosperity, of all that is good and right and true. As we are in alignment with what we truly are, as we open to that right now, as we are that sieve, the inlet and the outlet. And as we become filled with that vibration of love, of light, of beauty and goodness, as we become filled with that, we can't help but touch life with our presence. We can't help but touch others and awaken the life and light within them. We can't help it. As you and I become these vessels of goodness, as we truly accept the words, there is only one life, that is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. As we become filled with that and recognize that we are the creators of our experience, that we have the power to create, to heal, to be joyous and peaceful and abundant and all and loving right now, as we become that vessel and vehicle, and we recognize we touch the presence, and the presence touches us. We realize that we become the fingerprints of God. However we see and know that truth to be now, that goodness, that light to be, we become the fingerprints that touch and awaken not only our lives, but awaken the life of others and bring us together in a unity and a remembrance that we are one in all of our foibles, our goodness, our frailties, that we are one on a journey of experience to remember this deep and abiding truth. And allow right now, as you are filled to overflowing with this potential of life, as you are filled to overflowing with the goodness and magnificence that you already are, as you allow the openings to just expand you into a greater receptivity for what you desire right now in your life. How good it feels to be part of this wonderful outpicturing right now. And just imagine right now that you are touching life with your presence. You're awakening the light, the love, the goodness, the joy, the abundance, the truth, not only in yourself, but in others. And as you do that, the truth I know for each and every one of us is our fingerprints are everywhere. And they're not the ones we want to wash off. They're the ones we want to keep as they ignite the goodness. How good it is. And in that knowing, we say, thank you, God. Say it. Thank you, love. Thank you, joy. Thank you, abundance. I accept it. I am it. I live it. I share it. And so it is. Amen. And give yourselves a hand because it's done. Thank you, thank you, thank you.